got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad. I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad. Doing no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad.
Yeah.
Baby, I'm bad.
I just wanna stay bad, stay mad. Chip on my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast. I ain't gonna take that, stay back. I'll be swinging hard till the hits come in all caps. I ain't gonna lay back, pray that someone's gonna help me. Ain't nobody like that. I ain't gonna wait, that's all fact. Give me one shot and I'll never get the throne back. I'm sick of being cautious. I'ma go cause some pain, can't stop this. I'ma steal everybody's lane, call it shoplift. Sick of hearing everyone complain when they thoughtless. Taste the pain, it's like candy canes. It makes me go change into a better frame, into a better name. Society's insane, we all live for fame. Yeah. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born to rock.
Welcome back to Frank's Model Aviation Workshop. This episode we're going to continue the finishing up of the fuselage of the Top Flight 60 size P-40E Warhawk. And on this episode I think I'm going to concentrate on the control surfaces of the fuselage, the rudder and elevators. I plan on polyspanning it, so I'm going to break out some butyrate dope, thin it 50% and put 3 coats of dope on, 2 coats, sand, and then a final coat before we begin polyspanning. So if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that notification bell so that you can be notified of future uploads. And be sure to like and share my videos. I'd really appreciate it. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so before we get started, I'm going to have to mix up some dope. I got some Randolph clear butyrate dope. It's the Taunton style 9107. And I got some Brodak thinner for butyrate dope. Got a jar that I'm going to mix up in because this can's almost full, so I can't do a 50%. So I'm going to weigh it out, do 50-50 dope to thinner. And before we get started, actually doping this structure is, I'm going to take in some sandpaper and on all these rib edges, I'm just going to lightly take that little sharp edge off, so when you put that the polyspan on, you won't see like a sharp rib edge. It'll be more like a dull edge. You'll still see the rib on there though. It's got a slight bow to it. I don't know if you can see that in the film, but I'm going to make sure all my surfaces are sanded smooth before starting the dope. Put 2 coats on after they're dry, and then sand once to make sure they're nice and smooth. Then I'm going to put 1 last coat on, and then we'll start to apply the polyspan on. So let's get going. So first things first, we're going to go and just look at all of our surfaces. You want to make sure you have a nice, smooth, round rudder. And if you don't, you want to work on making it smooth and round. I'm going to use some of these surfaces have a little CA on, so I don't want to use sandpaper, because if I do, it'll cause like a scallop in there. So right here, there's a little bit of CA on this edge, so I'm going to use my sandbar to smooth that out. But you want to make sure everything's smooth before you put that first coat of dope on there. And I'm just going to warn you ahead of time, when I go to start doping, I'm going to have to open the windows up, put a fan in the window, and at that point in time, I'll put you in fast speed. I'm just going to be brushing dope on, so it's not like I'm going to be talking or anything. And what I'm looking at is symmetry here. I want to make sure that one side looks the same as the other. So sometimes I'll have to flatten it out or make it even, I should say. Now on all these sharp edges, I'm just going to take this sandpaper and just lightly take that fuzzy edge off. This is not going to be a Polyspan tutorial per se. If you want to see a good Polyspan tutorial, I would go see Sparky at Stunt Hanger. He has quite a few really good videos on how to Polyspan. So I'm not going to this is only my second time using it, so I'm not going to do like a tutorial. I'm just lightly taking these edges down just a hair. Okay. Okay, I think I'm happy with that for now. And do the same thing with the elevators. Now when I go, I think I already told you about the opening the windows, so this can get you pretty messed up if you don't have proper ventilation, so make sure you're using it. Any deviations or imperfections in your sanding job, it will definitely show through your covering job. So you want to make sure you're very careful on how you do your sanding. Make sure you're feeling where there's any imperfections and correct whatever needs corrected before you apply that Polyspan or the dope. Because once the dope's on there, it's going to be hard to change. Okay, another thing that I forgot about that I want to do is I want to put lightning holes in between these ribs where I can, where there's no hinge. So I lessen the weight in the tail because these Top Flite kits tend to all be tail heavy. So I'm going to just use my Dremel and I'm going to just do some oval holes in here where I can. And that way I got to do that before I can put any dope on. So we'll do that first in fast speed. Well, so there's the end product. That really lightened it up. I should have took a weight beforehand, but it's 25 grams right now. And this stuff's really, really thick. Now, I accidentally dug into my control horn base, but I think it'll be all right. It's not, because it goes all the way to the edge. And I nicked a couple ribs, but I ain't gonna tell you where they're at. You'll have to see in the finished product. Anyway, that's done. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rudders off camera, and then we'll be back to do the doping. In case you're wondering, there's really no flex to this at all. And once I put the Polyspan on there and shrink it, it's gonna be hard as steel. It'll be fine. And that's exactly how I want it. I want to leave about 3/4 of an inch, ½ inch on the end. And I went to about 1/4 in here and just took all of it off up to the ribs. Kind of looks cool. You won't see it through the paint and stuff. So anyway. All right, so here's the finished product. Took off quite a bit of weight. About, this was 17, I think, and it came down to 11. So that's 6 grams just on one one elevator. So that's 12 grams, and then the rudder. So all together, the rudder and the 2 elevators are weighing 53 grams. I'd be interested to know if any of you have weighed the rudder without lightning holes. I wish I would have done that, but I didn't. So we'll get on to doping these things up. And I got good at not nicking the ribs on the very last elevator. So I got a nick on the rudder in one of the elevators, and this one of them's perfect. I don't know which one it is. Either way, it ain't gonna matter much. You ain't gonna see it. Okay, so we're gonna weigh out a 50-50 mixture. I might go to ounces, fluid ounces. So we'll start with the thinner. Mainly because that's what I got least of. I'll go 4 ounces. Gotta save some for cleaning the brush. Alright, there's 4 ounces of thinner. So I'll put in enough dope to make 8 ounces. I wonder if I can pour this without spilling it all over the place. .2. .4. That's going to be my 50-50 mixture. Okay, so here's my setup. I'm going to put a coat on and hit the road to get some oxygen. Unless I get the fan in the window. Let's start with the rudder. I haven't doped a plane in years. It's been at least 5 years. Something I like doing, it's fun. So you get the idea. I'm going to put this in fast speed and I'm going to have to open a window. Okay, I got the first 2 coats applied. Now, the cool thing about the first 2 coats is the first coat dries almost instantly because it gets sucked up into the wood. Then the second coat goes on. I'm going to let that dry overnight, and then I'm going to put the third coat on. And, well, after I let that dry overnight, I'm going to sand these parts to smooth them out because the first 2 coats raise the grain in the wood. So the sanding will make it like glass when the third coat goes on. So that's going to be it for this little section, and I'll see you tomorrow. I think due to the nature of doping and polyspanning, I'm going to make this a two-part video. That way I don't have to be constantly up here breathing the stuff in. So I'm going to call this another bonus episode, Polyspan Part 1. So we'll do that, and I'll do the old scan around the parts so you can see it at the end of this video. So like I said, if you like this type of content, consider subscribing to my channel, hit that notification bell, and be sure and like and share my videos. I really appreciate it. And until part 2 of the Polyspan video, thanks for watching.